Run it. I can't take no loss. I hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, yeah. Run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah, yeah. I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah, yeah. I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 2Heads podcast. I'm your co-host Kevin Byrne. I am joined by
the main host Mukhtar Bagge.
And today we have Saturn Wolf with us.
WolfloW,
yes.
lads. He's had all day to get this right. Come on, it's
Scratch
not
it. No, it isn't.
And backwards. Flow. Come on,
Right.
WolfloW.
So do you know what? I shouldn't have said it. Who do we have with us today? You
we
intro.
have the absolutely wonderful Saturn WolfloW.
WolfloW. See,
Yes.
I should have let you do it. You did that way better than I did.
Or WolfloW if you want to get fancy.
Oh, very like
WolfloW.
An extra bit of spice on that. You know what I mean? So, Saturn, we have you in here today out of a very interesting turn of events. We had you comment on some of our stuff on Instagram, and it kind of sparked a conversation that kind of raveled into where we are here now. So I guess before we get into all of that, if you'd like to give us a little background of who you are, what your government name is, your pronouns, stuff like that. Like we've had this in the past where we aren't the most educated people when it comes to this type of stuff. We might say the wrong thing, but it's not intentional, and you're here to put the manners on us if it's needed.
Well, straight away you're getting a virtual slap.
Right, I'll take it.
Because you don't ask a tranny what our government name is, ever.
Okay.
Ever.
Oh, shit.
Ever.
Well, I'm just going to blame you.
Really?
That is, and you know what? Because you prepped me for this, and I was like, I wanted to do the same thing a minute ago. I was like, you know what? I'll save it for the podcast because this is what I want to be here for, and to do this. Basically, you could really, really upset somebody or hurt them by asking them what their real name is or whatever. It's like, I'm gonna lean on yourself a little bit because you're white, you're grand, you understand a bit more of the oppressive thing. It's kind of like someone going, but where are you really from?
Oh, yeah? On your name, though?
Yeah.
I don't know, but the thing is, like, the way I look at it is, like, unless your name is changed deeply, a lot of people will be asking for your government name, though.
Not necessarily.
No, when I say deeply, I meant like if you're changing on the basic, like, you know, like pop-up changed, people will ask for your government name. Because at the end of the day, like, if you were to go, like, say, for example, anywhere with a license or whatever, or a passport or whatever, it's going to be your government name on it.
For sure.
Yeah, so that to me is the respect of human to human. Do you get me? But now if you ask me to, okay, Mukhtar, my name, don't call me, but this is my name. This is what, yeah, I'll still respect and call you that. But to get to know you as a person, you need to know what name your mother, your father, or whatever put on you, and then we can go on to the story. So that's why I asked you, I want to start by your government name. I want to know the person you are.
But that wouldn't be who I am.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, I'm Saturn, sitting here before you. And the thing is, there's trans people out there that you wouldn't even know that they were trans. So the thing is, if they sat before you, like, I'm a proud trans woman. I don't particularly want to follow through with some surgeries that other people do or certain things. I'm just very happy to identify what I am, and we can break down. We'll get into that a little bit more. But
definitely.
if you doing that, it's like you actually are basically saying you're not who you are in front of me, and you're really kind of you're drawn into quite dangerous territory that could really upset somebody. And also, I would see, and I think anybody at that point that you aren't necessarily respecting me for being the person in front of you, because if you were to say my name's this and my name's that, it's like, well, that's not your name. I want to know this or that other thing. It's like, whether it's a nickname or otherwise, you know. And I get where you're coming from, but yous aren't the guards, yous aren't the airplane fucking people. It's like waiting for me to get on the thing, you know. We're sitting here having a podcast.
Yeah, it's
like, you know,
to me, the way I was raised, the way I was brought up in my family, you said you're trans, so I respected that you're trans. I don't see anything else but trans. You know, do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
so, but what I was brought up in the black community, in the black family, is you greet people and you meet them and you ask them by their name and you respect them. But so, for me,
so why didn't you do that?
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm trying to do. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. But you have to understand. See, the problem I think that's going on in the trans community is people getting too offended too quick. Because, like, somebody calling themselves, like, anybody can turn around and call me a white man. But that's not my real name. But if I changed it on the paper, then yeah, it is. Do you get where I come from? Like, I'm just saying it in a way that we are backwards here in Ireland. So a lot of this is still educational for the youth of today.
Oh, no, totally.
Do you get me? But the problem is, if the youth of today and the younger trans or whatever that's coming up, the population that's coming up is getting so disheartened because somebody called them by a government name, that's going to create problems.
It is, and to be fair, so generally, I'm going to just re-establish this now for widespread, for yourselves and anybody listening. Just never do that. Okay. Ever. Just don't.
Note the virtual slap and learn.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's
Fair.
like, and basically, so there's an abundance of reasons why somebody wouldn't have their name legally changed, right? Now, they might be still figuring it out. They might be still questioning. They might be seeing if that name fits them. They might go, I know some trans people that go through a couple of names before they reside on their name. Some people never change their government name at all, and they just still identify how they are. Now, you understand that is on a piece of paper, right?
Yes.
That is fact, right? Until you change that legally. Now, there's no disagreement there, right? But that's where... again, like I said, if I just said, this is my name and this is how I identify, we just respect that.
Yeah.
That's how it goes down.
That's how it goes, yeah.
You could also, so somebody could be really disheartened from their past, you know, and because their past could be very volatile to their mental health, their situation. They could be rejected by their family, anything. And then if you ask them that or tie into that, that's bringing all that trauma up, you know what I mean? Plus on top of the other things. And in a way, it's kind of, you're really asking, like, that's not asking the, going back on what you're saying, it's like asking the person who they are. That's usually, I wouldn't be like, oh, what's your name? So it's usually, what do you do? Or what's this? What's your hobbies? What's your passions? What did you eat for breakfast? Anything like that. It's like the integral stuff. It's like the same thing if you're kind of like, so did you get an operation? Those questions are just, you don't ask these. You don't ask your bros when you meet them. So like, oh, nice to meet you. What's your name? Cool. What genitalia have you got between your legs? You know what I mean?
But the thing is, I do.
I don't know if you can say you don't know. You don't know.
No, but the truth is, I do ask. I do ask. Because like my nickname on social media is Brother Mukhtar. But people don't call me Brother Mukhtar. They call me Mukhtar. But like, what I'm trying to say with this is, a lot of people, because my name is foreign. It's Arabic. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce my name.
Yeah.
So the first thing they do when they meet me is, what's your name? So it's like an old school thing. Do you get where I'm coming from? So like, say for example, I know
you didn't ask me my name, I'm going to quit over you. But then it's like, but what's your government name? So like, that's, even though that's...
No, because that's my fault then.
Yeah,
that's
no,
my fault. The way I approach it, yeah.
And then the only thing I'm just trying to, I'll throw back out on the equivalent to that is if somebody would say to you, but like, and you're clearly
nobody
Irish,
asks what's your
like,
government name.
It's like, I'm from Ireland, but where are you really from? It's not cool. Do you know what I mean? So that's like kind of saying, where is your real?
That's my fault there then.
Look, you're going to be holding your hands up loads during this conversation. Guarantee it.
That is okay. Look. My apologies. I'll restart it again. What's your name? Please.
Saturnwolfflow.
Saturnwolfflow. Okay.
Sorry, in that, I know we're trying to dead this off, but I really want to fucking know this now as well.
He's going back.
If I ask, right, let's say if I ask you, no, but where are you really from? I get where the offence could be held, but the intent is not. It could be just genuine, like. Well,
obviously,
there's a better way to be a better way to phrase it. I know, I get where you are coming from. You know,
but like, no, don't get me wrong. Look, I would have. I'd always ask people with genuine intention if I felt the conversation was needed, but it can be asked in a very like. You just met that person. If they tell you from Dublin, they're from Dublin. Do you know what I mean? You don't start going, but where you're really from, because that's intrusive. That's like you don't need to know that on the second question you ask somebody, especially if they've already answered.
Yeah,
that's the thing. If you said, I'm from Dublin, but my parents are from here, or this, or if I got to know you a bit more, I might go, here, your lineage, are you, like, I usually say, were you born here, or, like, if you're doing it, it's like, you here your whole life, or it's like, what generation are your parents?
There's definitely
here?
a better way to phrase it.
And that's only just if I want to know a little bit more as we got into conversation, and I think, well, I would say you're really digging into a traumatic area by asking somebody that, like, oh, what's your real name? What's your government name?
Yeah.
It's like,
but
this is not
I don't
right.
feel like I'll be offended now. Like, I've been living here now over 31 years. I grew up when racism was a big thing in Ireland.
Yep.
It was huge, you know. But like, I don't think I've ever been offended if somebody asked me where are you originally from. I don't think I've ever been. Like, but the thing is, like, the way I look at it is like, see the way I asked there, yeah. If there was hate towards it, you would feel it.
Yeah, that's
Just
what
like when somebody calls you a nigger, and there's hate. It goes through your bones. You feel it.
Denying it, yeah.
Do you get me? So this is what I'm trying to say to you. So when I asked you that genuine question, yeah, fair enough, saying government name. The reason why I said government name is because my name on social media is Brother Mukhtar, but I don't get called Brother Mukhtar.
And you run the risk of saying your real name.
Do you get what I'm coming from?
So I would-
even
that's
worse.
That's the reason why I asked for your government name, because I know your name, but I thought you would have said, oh,
Just this and
Sandra. Like, but
Where's
the
it all
thing,
been?
if it was like, now I understand that a little bit, but now I'll bring it back into being the trans woman in the room. And fair enough, like, my name is a little out there, I guess, but it's at the same time, it's still, it's maybe out there to some extent where, you know, I could say Mukhtar is a bit out there.
So
and I could say the
exactly,
same
that's
thing,
what I'm saying,
you
yeah.
know,
I'm
but
definitely
I
the
would-
only Cavan in this country. I know that for a fact. No one has my name.
Yeah.
So I get that as well, yeah.
Yeah, so, but I would say, I would rearrange the question maybe and go, is that an artist name? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Rather going straight into saying, is that, what's your government name? Is like, that to me makes me feel like, you know, I'm trans, and you're curious to know what the name was when I was a man.
Yeah, well, I think it was
That's
more
how,
as well.
that's how it's
in the
always
same-
going to be felt.
that's
by a
mad.
trans
Because
person.
that did not.
Yeah, that would
like that
to
was
me,
like I already know you're trans.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a thing that it was like
the intro.
trying to. Do you get me?
The intro of your background as well. Like, I don't think anyone who they are now. I don't think they were what they were that then. Maybe that's wrong to say as well. I don't know. Like, the man I am now was nowhere near the human being I was when I was.
Oh, we all change.
And
we
that's
grow,
that's
we
literally
evolve,
yeah.
we evolve.
That's
And
human
if you're
nature.
not
Really.
evolving,
There's something
you're
wrong with it.
yesterday's news,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're not doing yourself a favor, you know.
Yeah, but and so then, so let's go. Let's sidestep the name Saturn.
Yeah.
What is your? I'm trying to think of it.
He's like going to be sweating. You think you're sweating the gym?
I'm so
By the
happy.
time you're done with me in this podcast, you're going to burn off more than you
I'm
have
so
to.
happy I got
My
this fucking
boy's
smoothie
watching his
before that.
tongue
I am fucking
and
PC.
biting down on his lips.
Yeah, right.
Come on, man, just get
So
it out.
where are you from? Where is your? Give us a rundown or a brief synopsis of your background and where you came from, your family life.
Perfect. So as I would say, is my name is Saturn WolfloW, as we've established.
Yep.
I tell people that I was reborn on Turtle Island, and I have Irish blood, and I would be a creativist and an activist.
Okay.
To summarize me as quick as possible.
Okay. Brief. I like it.
Yeah.
Turtle Island.
Yeah. So Turtle Island is the real name for the Americas before it got colonialized.
Okay.
So I would say reborn because I found myself who was sitting here before you when I was living over stateside for a couple of years, and there was within the first wave of that, maybe the first third of living away, and being away on my own in the middle of fucking buckfuck nowhere up in a place called Squamish, which means big wind. And it's got the most mental spelling ever. It's like SWX. You would have thought it X, the number 7 MESH.
Yeah, 'cause even the way you pronounce it didn't sound like it was just a fucking thing of
Squamish.
word.
Yeah. So like, that's the name of the territory as a whole. And then the actual kind of the very smaller part where I was living has been just the phonetically colonialized spelling, which is just like as Squamish as you probably would, you know, think to write it down. And I was living under the biggest, they argue the biggest, or they think it's maybe the second biggest, but it's very hard to measure giant rocks of the size of monolith. And that was called the Big Chief, and that was where I kind of refound myself and would be myself now for the last, I'd be 4 years. It'd be like the end of my third year. Be 4 years. Then go into my fourth year. Me in December.
Okay. So this is your fourth year, September.
Oh, sorry. In December, I'd be like, this would be the end of my third year.
Sorry. So that's the start of your fourth year, December. Right. Okay. Yeah. And what brought you there in the first place?
Well, involuntarily, I call her land wench.
Okay.
So I eloped when I was a man. My name was Dean.
Okay.
I don't mind sharing that now at the moment.
Okay.
Again, I'm just going to reiterate: don't ask a tranny about her past unless she brings it up.
Okay.
Basically, just a hardcore rule. Just don't. They are the person in front of you. Doesn't matter whether trans, woman, man, non-binary. Just they are that person in front of you unless they decide to bring it up. And I necessarily didn't really want to come back here because I'm so ingrained in so many corners of this country, or at least say who the Dean who I used to be was and kind of still is. The marker was made in many areas that I, as me, find it very hard to escape who I was, and I don't thoroughly just to get to be me. It's always kind of the lingering residue of that person. Now, don't get me wrong, the lad was loved plenty. He had and made such a difference here. There's a lot of great memories and histories there, and it's not to be just to throw it in the bin. I see it as it's a separate person who's just not with any of us anymore. Yeah. But I wanted to be me, and coming here, I don't fully get to do that. I was nearly going to Iceland or Berlin, and if I go there, you know, now outside of being asked for my government name, nobody's going to ask me about me history per se. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe on the way in at the airport, but after that, it's fine, you know?
That's mad though, still. But no, I got skilled on that though. Yeah, I won't do that again. But,
we were hasty.
Appreciate it.
But as you were talking there was a question I wanted to ask. So you said your name was Dean back then, but I want to know the style, everything. Were you always dressed like that? Were you always that comfortable to be outspoken?
So I guess I'm gonna swap. We're in the place now, and like I said, I can't escape who I was.
This is a safe place, man. This is a safe
zone. I totally know it is.
You know?
I just I would say so. Like as Dean, I would say he grew up as just basically wearing in the later years just black clothes, band t-shirts, shorts. Worked in the music industry.
Like a goth.
Pardon?
Like a goth style kind of thing.
Not quite goth. Just like fairly just literally just lad beard, like usually a cap on at some point, a band t-shirt, and then and jeans or shorts, and it was like a black band t-shirt for half the year and white band t-shirt during the summer, and it was almost like a comic book character.
You're basically describing me and my outfits is what you're saying. All black with a beard. That's the same shit. Yeah.
So and then the odd plaid shirt, you know what I mean? You're getting fancy or something, you know what I mean? It was kind of there. So I would say when Dean would have been arguably one of the first emo kids to roam the planet, to the point where he would have gotten chased out of Central Bank when all the the rockers and the hippies and the emos and the goths and all and the metalers hung out there by metalers for being an emo kid, and then eventually the emo kind of style and vibe became more widespread, and that's you're going back 15 years or more now at this stage. So and at that time, I guess I think I was trying to fight out of and get out of that body in some shape or form. And I look back actually, and Dean always referred to his person as we, which is mad. And now when I transitioned, I'm sure it'll come back around to that after the fry train and look back. So much more stuff makes sense, and so much more stuff was just restricted for me. So I think there was that period. Could have been the point of finding himself or myself that was hiding in there, true identity, because there was pink eyeliner, there was more flamboyancy and things like that to kind of, your rocker kid almost with, like, as emo, we all know what an emo kid looks like nowadays, but, back then it was, like, quite still in its own lane a little bit. And especially in this country. Yeah. So, constantly getting a hippie rocker faggot from everybody until one day somebody on MTV, reality TV show, decided to wear pink collared salmon and Converse shoes, and all of a sudden we weren't getting fucking rocks thrown at us through fingerless anymore.
Is that Green Days?
Pardon?
Green Day.
Green Day.
Billy Joel, he could have
that would have been
bit
one
of
of
eyeliner.
Green Day, the Osbourne.
I would say it would be like, I mean, emo is varied. It's more the side fringe, the hair, a bit of the eye makeup and things. But, you know, the likes of Billy Joe wouldn't been, like, if you could look at him today, you could almost say it was like emo, but it's punk, and then you're just going to have people like someone could dress exactly like him and say they're emo, and somebody could dress exactly like him and say they're punk, and not the other thing, and you just accept it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's where
6 1 half dozen the other kind of thing. Yeah.
So I think even with that, I found it hard because the world oppressed that. You know what I mean? It was like it was still walking through English where Dean grew up or anything, and in school it was always outcast. There was always abuse. There was always something. You know what I mean? And you're avoiding that. You know, you're constantly getting the gay bash hate.
Yeah.
Even
let me bring you back there, right? So you mentioned Finglas, yeah? So that's where you grew up, Finglas.
Yeah.
Okay, so was it harder for you back then? Because Finglas back then was a kip. I'm gonna be dead serious with you. And then the Catholic had great control back then as well. So it wasn't easy for a lot of people to get out back then, to come out and just present it. Because what happened back then as well is, because a lot of people that came out, their family was shamed upon.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So it was harder back then to come out. So did you feel like you were trapped in a body that wasn't yours? Or did you feel like your mind was wolf or...
Flow. Say it, come on. WolfloW.
Come on, bro.
Flow with me, wolf.
Hey, remix in this
Flow with
bitch.
me, man. Wolf flow.
I would say it's a weird one. I think...
You know, that's deep. Like, I get it. Because, like, me personally, like I said, I always said on the Yokes, on every one of our podcasts that we ever had, like LGBTQ on or LGBTQ plus.
LGBT.
I always get lost in that.
Hey, hold on. Say it with me now, right?
LBG man them.
LGBT plus.
Yeah, but what's
four
the plus?
letters. You're
Yeah, but
smart. You're smart, right?
Okay,
Let's do four
what's
letters.
the
in a row.
LBG plus, yeah?
LGBT.
LGBT plus.
What's the plus for? Premium?
Exactly.
Prime. Free delivery. That's what that is, bro. Free delivery.
Is that for prime next day delivery? No, say what is the plus for?
What is the...
So to me, I see it this way: LGBT plus, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans. It used to be gay LGBT, and what happened was after the AIDS epidemic, the lesbians saved all the gay men who hated lesbians from death by offering them blood because nobody else would have offered them blood. So they were the honorary thing.
Is that a fact? Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't know
it's
that.
actually a fact.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, it's funny if you look at a lot of old documentaries from the West Coast, like especially California and San Francisco, you can see things in the background where it has the reverse where it's GLBT.
Yeah.
And then it was since that basically it was the honorary thing to do and change that. But which actually, funny enough, still ties us into the podcast. You had Lauren.
Lulu on Instagram.
Lulu. Gays still hated women. Like women weren't allowed in the George only up until recently. You know what I mean? It was like go back when I was probably that kid, being the emo kid, as Dean doing the rounds, like maybe around 2005. Initially, that it started to ease off a little bit, but they were shunned and they were hated being in the gay bar. It was for men. You know what I mean? So it still lasted. Like it was. I think there was a period where it was like, you saved us, thanks, and then all of a sudden history just gets forgotten after 5 years, and then it just goes back to being the machoism of it all.
That's brilliant that you brought that up. I
yeah.
really appreciate that, but I want to bring you back to Fingless.
Sorry, but let me just say real quick, LGBT plus. So I think the plus is for everybody else there afterwards. I think at this stage it's not too, and this is a controversial topic, and I am the only, I guess, queer LGBT person in the room, so I'm not having this argument with somebody else, but my opinion would be that if you start adding in other letters, you do end up, like, where do you stop? And it's not to be dismissive of it. That's why the plus just, it encapsulates that. And we've all been in and out and forgotten from history. The only one I would say to change it would be to put the 2S, which is two-spirited, which is Indigenous people who were here before all of us. And they had two-spirited before any of us even were gay or lesbian or thing. And I would put that in front of it. But to be honest, I think we just need to almost squash all of it and just re-entitled and re-empower us as being queer. So all the letters just, you're queer. And in that way, it's everybody, you know?
Well, come here. And that being said...
That's the best thing I've heard from you so far. Yeah. Let's go back to Fingless.
I'd rather not. I moved out of there. I really don't want to go back, to be honest. Like, you can. I'll stay. I'll get the bus home.
Yeah, no, because I want to hear about that, because I know it was hard. It was hard. And there was a lot of people, like, a lot of my missus' family, you know what I mean? Like I know for the fact is like in the black community, it's there's a lot, but a lot of people are afraid to get out. They're afraid to come out. The culture, the religion, everything is holding a lot of people back, you know? And this, even in this day time when it's a lot easier.
The only straight lads chatting me up these days are black lads.
Damn.
White Irish lads are still scared shitless.
We're in the clear, G. Fuck you.
But like, you know what I mean? So I want to really get your thought on that before we move on. How hard it was for you to back then, like, for you to be Wolf.
Yeah, well, I think,
you know what I mean?
I think to be fair, there was no being me back then. I was totally like, it wasn't necessarily fingless. It was just life. You're born a man, you're told to be a man, you have to be a man, and no matter what happens along the way, you end up being still put in the box. You have to stay in the avenue and play the game of boy because that's the title that you're given. So I think regardless of fingless or not, it's just an era with no representation, with no role models, with no appreciation, no respect. Everything's just bumped into you're a faggot and you're wrong, or else this, you know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing Ladyboys, proper Ladyboys, Asian Ladyboys, and that's the only, by the way, while we're educating, it's probably the only time and place you do call people Ladyboys is the actual Asians. They're out and proud, like over there in Thailand and the rest, they are Ladyboys.
But people will say,
otherwise.
But people will say the Western is delusional.
Pardon?
People will say, especially in Thailand, because I go to Thailand with my missus and all, and you know, but they will say the Western is delusional. Because if they've hit that peak a way long time ago, and if you go to Thailand today and you pulled one, like if you look at Ladyboy in Thailand, like I've talked about this on the last. Some of them are like you will never know. I mean, they're fucking gorgeous.
Unless you ask them their government name.
And but the thing is,
you're getting nuts. You won't be making a home.
No. The thing is, the voice will change. You'll be like, yeah, it's Rio.
Yeah.
And they have no problem with it. Yeah. But if you ask them, are you a lady? No, I'm a lady boy.
Yeah.
There's no offensive. There's nothing to it. So what happened for it to become trans over in the Western, and then in the other side, it's still a lady boy?
Yeah. And with that as well.
And where did that education come from?
In terms of government name, not to fucking rehash it, but on their passports, they have Mr. X. That's where they, like, on anything that's official, it's not even that. I assume when I read it, it was Mr. X as in insert name here, as opposed to just fucking blank. You know what I mean? But that's recognized there as well, and that still speaks to that thing of where's the rigmarole change between here and there? Do you know that kind of way?
So
it's very hard.
I think
to grasp it, you know what I mean?
As much as everything you're saying is relatively correct, you know what I mean? I would almost go, the Eastern and Western worlds, first of all, are just two different kettle of fish.
Yeah, that's fair.
100%.
Two different kettles of fish. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And whatever shit that's happening in America and happening here is two different kettle of fish as well. So that's where people need to understand social media is full of fucking shit.
Yeah.
So let's go into the next one there,
Yeah. So I would say, I think the freedom of it. So like, I think, you know what, I'll give you a little personal insight to me specifically, and I think it might in turn maybe answer the question a little bit when I run through my own personal journey. Would be, so I just, when I was Dean, just being a man just never felt right, okay? So, and there was always a case of other things. I look back now and I go, I always played female video games characters, always. And I remember I had two conversations, these pick out in my mind, and I remember turning around to, as Dean, to turn around to the lads and was like, oh, I just want to be men in the characters or whatever. It's like, we're lads out here. And I was just like, because we are men. And then I asked the same question to the group of lads, like, I'm never asking that question again, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily toxic, it's conditioning. You know what I mean? It's normativity. You know, it's like they're not doing anything wrong by saying that or feeling that, but I don't have the space to express myself.
Yourself.
And I think that expression is a totally wide spectrum. And I think where the definitive with that is as well. And like I go back, it's like I used to have my pronouns always as she, her on Bebo, MySpace, and things like that. The profile picture would change, and I get somebody sending a message. with no malice, and this is like literally trans and like being gay was still a little bit of was still tricky at this time, I guess, and it was accepted, like especially in close in nice circles, but you get the message, oh my god, that's so funny, Dean changed her profile picture. Now nobody mean anything, but inside I think I went, I'd like that to be the case. Now I was so conditioned now to be even ever feeling that. I had no heroes, idols, people to look up to. The only thing I had when I was a kid really was Ladyboys over in Asia, and then so to me there's no room for expression. So when it hit me like a freight train, and then I started looking back at certain things, and I was like, these things start to make a bit more sense. Do you know what I mean? Example, the thing on the social media, they're playing the video games characters as a woman all the time, and so on. And at the start, it was like I had come back to Ireland as Dean in the summer, and then I'd seen all the friends and everybody, and there was a few close friends I'd missed, and then I was coming back in December just before Christmas, and right before I left, Dean was dating a non-binary person. Are we up to date with non-binary? Do you know what? We'll get a little update. So non-binary is basically no pronouns, don't want any of it, don't care.
Oh, non-binary, sorry.
Non-binary, yeah. They're just like, I'm not a man, I'm not a woman. Some people are like, you can call me either, but I just don't.
Well, what was that though? Was that a boy or girl?
See, again, this is where you get the wrong questions. Virtual slap across the room.
He's got one too.
Oh,
I
you
know.
don't,
Did you get one as well? That's all right. Not leaving here, just the
No.
only one been virtually slapped.
I'm here for it though. I'm here for this because guess what? If everybody's watching this can take this,
Yeah,
That's exactly the
100%.
point.
I would
But
like that to be transcended through the screen to everybody.
But in other people's eyes,
So this is
was
the
that a
thing.
boy or girl?
Again, it's kind of an irrelevant question because they just identify as non-binary. You know what I mean? So it's just like they were mental looking. They looked like something out of a music video, 24/7. You know what I mean? They're deadly looking. One of the coolest people I've ever come across. But they used they them pronouns.
Okay.
They were I actually don't want to tell you because I don't feel the need, and it's unfair. I don't need to reveal what they were born as.
Oh, yeah,
you know
but
what I
the
mean?
reason why I asked that is because if I was to look at you and you're telling me you're gay, yeah, and I see you down the road with a woman, I say he's boy or she's boy, or you know what I mean? That's why I asked. Fair enough. I asked the questions about was it a boy or girl. That was wrong. 'Cause
Yeah,
they don't
yeah, but
understand
I
something.
get where it comes from
Yeah,
sometimes.
but
Like,
to my eyes, not your eyes.
Yeah.
To his eyes, when he sees it, like if it's boy and boy, yeah, it's a boy and boy. To my eye, because that's how we were brought up. So that's why I was asking, because me personally, that leads me into the
but
questions.
why do you want to know?
Because why not? Have you ever had pussy before?
Yeah.
Have you ever had dick before?
Tap loads. I'm tapped out of. I'm sick of it. Like,
There you
where's
go.
the dick?
So you had pussy
dick,
before, you had the dick before. So what makes you gay? Are you boy or?
So hold on.
So now are you lesbian?
So hold on.
Do you know what I mean?
sauce
You
on
get
that.
what I'm
This got you in
That's
trouble
true.
last time. So, but hold
You
on.
get what I mean?
So-
That's
I'm a
where I'm
lesbian.
lost. You know what I mean? That's what makes me laugh. Like,
I am a lesbian. I will tell you that for a fact.
But the thing is, like, in all seriousness,
yeah.
why do you have to know?
Because I've talked to a lot of trans, right? And I've talked to a lot of gays, and I've talked to a lot of lesbians, right? A lot of lesbians that I've spoken to will never, some of them never go near the dick. Penis.
Yeah.
Right? Never.
Good cat.
Yeah? And then I've spoken to trans
Do you have
women.
to bleep out everything that's like?
Absolutely.
No, absolutely.
Grand, okay,
No.
grand.
We'd be
So
fucking
dick,
busy
dick,
all
dick.
day.
And I've spoken to trans, and I've spoken to trans women, and trans women, a lot of them are into the dick.
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm going from? And then you've spoken to gays, and they will never go near the coochie.
No.
Do you get where I'm going from?
Vagina.
So when someone can jump from one to the other, the other to the other, blah, 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 what the term for it, for us, that we were learned in school or learned everywhere else is boy.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So when I see you with a girl walking down the road and you told me you're gay, automatically, I know the gay is the whole thing. But
So
to
I'll
me,
break this one back down in a minute, and this is exactly why we're here in the first place. But yeah, go on, keep talking.
to me, it looks like a boy. Like a boy. That's what I comes across that.
You say boy isn't bisexual, or you say
Bisexual, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, like.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked, like, was that girl or boy? It wasn't anything to do with like trying to flip
So,
anything around. on
sorry.
you.
So were
It
you
was just-
saying like, well, okay. So just to reiterate, and I know it's a little, it's really simple, but it takes a minute to almost just get your head around it.
But you need to understand, a human being that's like us human being that's brought up from centuries of learning boy to girl is not gonna adapt straight away.
Totally.
The
agree
premium fucking shit that's out there now.
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm coming from? And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the real problem, like, and that's not trying to throw anything spanners in there like that.
It's
And that's
fact,
why it's good to talk like this. And this is why I said to you at the start, please do not get offended.
No.
You know what I mean? So lighten us on that, yeah.
So basically, we've all been conditioned, like I said, you're a boy or you're a girl, right? Which, as we're all starting to realize, it exists, but it's in a roundabout way almost bullshit because it's a spectrum. It's just a spectrum. It's a very design thing. You know what I mean?
Spectrum,
It's like, I see it this way. Is a woman any less a woman if she had breast cancer and lost her breasts? No, not at all. She's still a woman.
She's still
you know what I mean?
woman,
Regardless. So I think that's just like an anchor point just to realize that nobody's anything less of anything for body parts, for having more body parts or anything. Now, if somebody is, say, non-binary, they just are like, I literally see your spectrum and you want to play the game. I'm over here.
Outside
I'm
of
over
that.
here. Yeah. And or somebody could be, say, gender fluid, where they're like, I'm this one day and I feel more girly one day and I feel more masculine one day, and they embrace.
Do you not think that's greedy though?
Energies. What?
Do you not think that's greedy?
I think it's beautiful.
That you can be 20 different people in one day, like. I think that's greedy.
Why is it greedy?
I just think it's greedy.
I think you're conditioned to say that.
Yeah,
The
but
same way if you were to say that somebody's bisexual, because bisexuals got an awful lot of hate within the same way lesbians got hates from gays. Bisexuals have been hated on by gays and lesbians for being greedy, and it's really that's been the
You
thing.
either like the pipe hole or you like the fucking fanny. That like, if you want the two of them, you can't have all your plate and eat it.
I would like it at the same time. I like one here. It's like whichever way you take it, bring it on. Like,
Flow.
so here, and on this one, right? So, Freddie Mercury,
Yes.
sexual identity.
Don't know.
What would you say history's
Gay.
Exactly. David Bowie.
Ooh, I like him.
I'm afraid in
I like.
this.
Oh, David Bowie was. Wait, he wasn't gay. He's straight.
No, he was.
They're the two
Straight.
biggest bisexuals in the world.
Is that a fact? Yeah.
What's
Freddie
up with these
Mercury's
things?
bisexual as well. David Bowie. Oh fuck! You're gonna
He's
put me on
you-
the spot now. Me mal disown me now. You got nothing.
Yeah, you should know. But
Right, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Champions Gym. Champions Gym is located in the back of Wigglers on the Long Mile Road. We are the greatest gym in Ireland to date. The home of the champions, where everything is based around our members and our community. We have good rates, good membership deals, top level staff, top level trainers, and all of the best equipment that you can get your hands on. Champions Gym is the sponsor of today's podcast. Down on the Long Mile Road behind Wigglers. Be sure to come in, check it out, a day pass, a month, whatever it is. Come join now and join the home of the champions. Champions Gym, sponsor of today's podcast.
David Bowie, yeah, he's huge. I never thought he was. I thought he was straight. I thought he was straight.
No, exactly. So, to me, and again, it all trickles back down to the main reason, the conversation I had on Instagram. The systemic regime, which to me, like, is the white supremacist power keeping everybody in a line, in a box to control society. It's about control. And it all trickles down. And I think along the way, government, media, and then medicine all fall in hand, and it's all about a manipulative control. I'm not saying that there's like any conspiracy theory sense here. There just is a few people at the top.
No, I agree
that
with you.
have
And the
so
manipulation.
much power,
Likewise, yeah.
and it's
Likewise.
not. It didn't start that way. Eventually, they were like, "Oh wait, the media makes people control this way." You go back to that era we were talking about, like the late '90s, early '90s. Sex sold everything. That's not in the windows anymore. You had tits selling your shampoo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was like
yeah.
that's now, but that was like the design. And again, it's like where people were women, and it was mostly conditioned towards women in that design. Now it's like men, thankfully, look at you're looking great. You're getting more groomed and less smelly and all the rest,
Thank
and
you.
doing your thing, and it's good to do that. But that was never the same for. It was always just women had to fit this box where those in control, because powerful men have controlled the world forever, and they're responsible for all the atrocities as well. Like, and I think if any man says otherwise, I go, well, I don't know what history you haven't been reading, because men are responsible, unfortunately, for all the shit. Do you know what I mean? But there's a few of them, and I think even with that, it's like one thing that it's like turning around and saying it's a white man's world was damaging, because guess what? White men suffer from class divide, cancers, sicknesses, inequalities in that sense. There's no oppression for being white, but there's a real large grouping of issues. But those issues also affect people of color, black people, queer people, trans people as well. So there's so many people that were like, you're telling me every day it's my world, but yeah, I'm dying of cancer. My ma died last week of cancer, this and that. It's like, that's a horrible life to be in. They were born into lower privileged areas. It's like, you're telling this person that the world's perfect for him. It's not perfect. There's a disadvantage there. So that's even the separation, the divide, and I think it trickles down from that as well. True, where we've been at each other. The whole thing is, keep us at each other. We can't join forces to point the fingers at the big guns. And it sends in everything from right-handedness, everything, all your door handles, all your phone apps, absolutely everything is still right-handed. And left-handedness was, you were not allowed in school, it was beaten out of you, and all of this, they were conditioning the world. The same with being hetero, being straight. It was, you had to be straight. It was what the world told you. Your neighbor hit on you, all the media, all the agenda, the same thing. Before that, it started with, I'd say, the racist world, and then it would have moved into, I say, post Jim Crow era. We had the class inequalities, the Thatcher Reagan era, where it was basically, if you're poor, you're the scumbag now, and we can pick on you for doing that. And it's all conditioning. It's all keeping us against each other. And right now, it's been a hotbed since the Trump era. It's like, you know, where you just have one single opinion that's different to somebody else's, and all of a sudden they're your worst enemy. Do you know what I mean? Your moral compass could be in the same place, and all of this, but it's so trickle of conditioning, and it's made us all this way. So the likes of David Bowie and Freddie Mercury being like, it's like they didn't want to let the world know that they were bi. Like
I think Queen now. That motherfucker told the world he was gay.
No, the world.
You got him.
He was basically telling them in a different slang.
You're okay. So you're totally right.
I'm gay. Well, come on, man.
No, you're totally right.
Shit.
He was the shit, bro.
Did you watch the movie?
I did. It was
Man, what movie,
we had
man.
one of our own in there as well.
He was on a different league of his own, man. He was different league of
He was
his
top shit,
own. He was shit hot,
No,
like
insane.
Delhi.
He never said he was gay. He was always bi. He was fucking David Bowie's wife. They were all fucking each other.
Yeah, sex was
But the thing is, the world conditioned him as gay, because guess what? Gay eventually, I see it this way. And you look back at the history of oppression in the last 100 years, eventually, after they tried to like AIDS, the AIDS epidemic was almost to try and wipe out gay people. I think that's exactly what it was. And certain things like that have been done to groups and societies forever. And eventually, the fight, and then all of a sudden, it's relatively okay in the developed world to be gay. You know, that was the first kind of widespread acceptance, and it trickled in a little bit.
Yeah, let me bring you back on that. You're dead right about the sex sold everything. Yeah? Because if you can go back to centuries of years, right? Everyone slept with each other.
Men totally. Yeah, there was nothing.
Men slept with each other. Women slept with each other. Everyone mixed. It was an orgy.
Orgies. Yeah.
It was just orgies
Bring it
everywhere.
on.
Yeah, come on, the Viking
But the
shit.
problem was, with time, as the society started growing, yeah, people didn't know who their kids were. People start developing different sexual diseases, and it was killing them very, very early, because we didn't have condom back then. We didn't have tablets. We didn't have doctors. Do you know what I mean? And that's how it started becoming a thing that Catholics were coming in, because there was so many deaths. Catholics start, like me personally, I don't like to say this, but it's the truth. Religion is a cult.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Right there with you, yeah.
It was something that they started for people to have hope when they lost somebody.
Something to rise
that's
to,
something
yeah.
that they can rise to, or something they can see. Yeah. So sex became a filthy thing. They made the sex dirty. Reason why is because there was too much transmitted diseases happen, and they didn't know the cause or how to prevent it from not happening. And that's when marriage started coming in. You have to be married before sex. You know, they're trying to control people not having orgy parties. If somebody has AIDS, go sleep in the big orgy party, the whole fucking room is infected. Give a year, 2 years back then before the tablets, the whole fucking team that was in that room is dead.
Wiped out, yeah.
So people were losing people too quick. As we start evolving and start getting more wiser, magic mushrooms start coming in, brains start opening up, people start getting degrees in different things and studying different things. Catholic and religion. Sorry, I'm gonna take Catholic out because it's not just Catholic. Religion, religion on its own got a hold of the sex thing already. They already put a dent on there that you should be married. You should have your husband is the only person that should see your snack box. Different things. Like they just put loads of stamp on it. And to be honest, if we look back, if that didn't happen, there'd be people walking around with 3 legs. The sexual disease would have been huge. And it showed in the 90s when AIDS became a thing. Pre-90s or whatever, the 80s or 20s or whatever. It showed that when people go around just sleeping effortless, because you have to remember, what was it? What in around what time was that? The 18s, the 20s?
AIDS epidemic was the 70s. 80s.
The 70s.
Yeah.
In around the 70s, we start getting immigrants.
Pretty sure.
We start getting immigration. We start getting people coming in from different countries. Slavery start getting a little bit more freer. People start getting past like free man. Do you get me? So people are coming from different areas. That's different diseases, different things. So when they were mixing around, it was catching like high fire. And that's the problem. It was that was the problem. That was the reason why sex became it's behind closed door thing.
Taboo nearly.
It was because the transmitted disease was so much. It was killing people so vast that they had to put some sort of limitation to it. And that's why people were getting shamed on you had sex before marriage. Do you remember that? That was a big thing back in the days. And it's still a big thing in a lot of religion. But now that we're living in the Western world where it's free to be you, people forget that. Do you get me? And me, I'm not here praising it or whatever.
No, fuck that.
Because the best thing they ever did is bring out fucking condoms.
And sure, but the church blasphemized that for ages. And then, but even with that, we've had, I hear what you're saying, and I think there's a little bit of a jump in the narrative that I wouldn't be tracking too much myself to argue it right now. I don't want to be throwing too much against it, but I'd say there's been a bazillion other diseases in the meantime that also did probably much more damage. And the sexual disease of the AIDS epidemic wasn't that long ago, but then it was vilified towards the gay community, you know what I mean? As in a sense, rather than trying to actually save them, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think to me, the only input I could have on that would be like just a certain amount of idea of regulation and stuff like that to keep people healthy and safe is I'm all pro that, and I would say
100%.
There's some correlation to coincidence along the way that maybe would have helped us along the way, but it's definitely not by it was I think there was more control as opposed to just letting people be wild and free, because especially with the church being in such control of the Western world for so often, getting your marriage, getting your kids, and not having condoms, and only being allowed to have sex just puts more kids in the world and basically puts more money into the church, because that's where all the excess went at the time, and the control, and then it was about numbers. It's like it's like anyone wanting their stats up. You know what I mean? This is a way to condition people to multiply in a great ordeal to outdo any other religion, and I think it's actually more of an arms race with numbers than anything else. And as thankful as I would be along the way for anything coincidentally saving people from death from diseases or anything, I would say it's definitely been more of an issue of control of to get the numbers up and get the money in the door, to be honest.
Quite similar to the war on drugs type of thing.
Yeah, me personally now, that's my opinion on it, That's what I think, because when you look back, even if you look back to the Viking, back in the Viking stages,
loose as fuck.
They were just raping. They just come up to you and just grab a woman and just go. You know what I mean?
There's a mix of that where there's a lot of consent, and then also the men who went and raped and pillaged villages as whether it was with their group or for a leader or some shape or form. Yeah, unfortunately, women had no say and power in that, and that was what happened widespread. But to be honest, I don't have the facts and the science of the
none of us do.
I would throw out a wild one and say, who knows? Even if it was in the same land, then, because people are dying from other things and not living as long and anything. And to be honest, with less condoms and different things, I think the diseases and things either were just part of natural sicknesses or have developed even more since then. To stuff that's been outbroken in the last couple of years. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff that we're fighting off now with medicine, thankfully, which is amazing. They are newer. It's not like they've necessarily been around forever, and I'm sure there's been things that have existed and not existed that we haven't been able to track with science, and you know, to say
100%.
that we had a certain disease or didn't have a disease at certain
100%, and that's the
time.
good thing that brings us up to this. Like, it's like this is an opinion talk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's factual. It doesn't mean like some cunts probably
Well,
sitting
yeah,
at home
facts.
scratching. No, there is a good few facts in there,
Yeah,
but some
yeah.
cunts probably at home looking at, nah, he said that wrong, or he did it. Well, fuck you. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
change the
Let's be
station,
straight-
fuck off,
Let's
yeah.
be straight out on the.
Lads,
So,
look, I'm right.
yeah, no, it is. Opinions are like arseholes. Every fucking one of them stinks. So it is what it is.
Everyone has one, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We all have one, and that's just what it is. You know what I mean? You like disagree or not, disagree not to disagree. It's okay,
Yeah.
as long as we can talk and be civil about it. You know what I mean?
And I think that's probably one of the big things that's kind of missing at the moment in terms of inclusion and in terms of equality and all of that, where I don't think there's ever a space, and a lot's to be said for the space to do that, but I think even the discussion of like that at the start where I didn't ask you something in the correct vein, you know, that kind of way where I didn't fucking know. You know what I mean? I don't know where I would
But
go to
nobody's
learn.
doing it, right?
Yeah.
We're on the front lines, and this is where, and I'll pull back in something where you said earlier on, and I'd like to think that it stays zipped and thrown in the bin from here on out by saying like trans people are getting too offended too easily, and I think
But they are though.
but see, there's again with the issue at hand is like
The issue is it's taboo in this country. We are slow evolving, so people need to be a bit more calmer and being able to digest it a little bit easier.
when you're talking about that, is it people that
Like
are
a-
trans are getting offended by being asked questions?
No,
or
trans women are getting offended. It's like when we first came here. When I first came here, yeah,
Yeah.
and like if somebody like it's very like when my color, you know, I didn't belong here,
Oh yeah, it's
so
like,
I was taboo.
yeah. I would swap.
If you look- if you look back-
Erica Cody's dad was one of the first people here in
Do you
the
get me?
70s.
If you look
like,
back when,
you know what I
like,
mean?
when we were
very
like,
few people.
it was taboo. If you
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
a nigga on a horse, you're like, what the fuck is that about? Do you get
Fucking
where I'm coming
Django
from?
rocking into fucking
It was
Dublin on the
thank
cobble
you.
blocks.
It was taboo. It was
Yeah.
taboo.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna sit here and put trans down because I have nothing but respect for every human being.
Likewise, yeah.
But what I'm gonna say is, there's been trans for years.
Yes.
Trans been here years, years.
But we've been exiled.
Thank you. But the problem with trans now getting so offended, and it's like the snowflake. Do you get the terms of snowflake?
Yeah, yeah.
Does anyone know what?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying,
Like the reason why is the same thing they tried to do with vegan. They tried to shove it down every fucking cunt's throat, and it didn't fucking work. You being gay, you being trans, that's okay. Nobody's saying it's not okay. But if
Well,
I
sorry,
mix
no,
when
I will literally stop you in your
Okay.
tracks on that one because the world has actually been telling us it's not okay.
really,
The world
like,
has
where
been
I'm
telling
from, that's okay.
Yeah, and I guess
Like,
what
it really is
what
the
line we're
opposite.
dancing on is obviously me and you have no fucking issues at all.
I have no issue at all
Our
with
belief
trans.
and our
Yeah.
spirit is more based in the fact that we just want peace in anything, and no matter what it is, you know.
It's
And
involved
but
in-
obviously there is going to be
There is, like, but
there's going to be places where you, like we discussed in the car on the way over, like you obviously face resistance. You obviously
Yeah.
face shit like that where people aren't understanding as much as we might be, even though we don't really always communicate that across perfectly.
I got
But-
hate crimed on the way to the
Yeah.
news today.
So that stuff
And
is
like
still
the-
out there for
yeah,
sure.
There
you know?
is uneducated arseholes out there, and I'm gonna be dead serious with you. And there's people out there that like, and I want to apologize for the fucking ridiculous fucking brain dead arseholes that there is there, and there's loads of them.
Yeah.
Do you get me? But one thing I understand about trans is it's been around. Trans been it's not new.
No.
Trans is not new. This is what I'm trying
just
to say. It's not new. But the problem is with the trans, the activists of trans side, where they're trying to okay.
them.
What?
Name them.
Like what? Like a name?
I go on and put you on the spot here.
For
I want,
example,
the fire's
okay.
under you. I want you to name these trans people. I want you to quote these things, right? Come on.
Do you know the funny thing is? The activists that pushing the trans rights and trans whatever they're trying to push, like the unisex toilets, all that and all, they're not even trans. Me personally, I think a
So
lot
you're
of...
telling me white people can't show up to a BLM march?
Sorry? I don't
Could
get
white people not show up to a Black Lives Matter march?
Black people don't show up to Black Lives Matter. Do you know what I'm saying?
But can we not be in this? Like
No,
I'm here for allies.
What I'm trying to
you know what I
say
mean?
is, a lot of it on the social media, a lot of the trans activists are putting the wrong light on most trans that just want to live their life that's accepted, that's been
Yeah, I
trans.
think-
And they never, like we spoke about this,
Yeah.
and they never had any issue. Some people never, I'm sorry for people that have been abused or slagged or put down, you know. But like, I feel like that's coming from social media background.
Yeah, I think
things that's happening in different countries that's necessarily not happening here yet.
Yeah.
And people are taking it and wearing on their sleeve like, oh, they're gonna take our jobs. They're going into our kids' skills. They're doing this. Do you get what I'm coming from? That's not happening here. I don't think that's happening here.
It's very similar to what Monique said when we had her on in the first season, and that's
love you, Monique.
Yeah, all the love to Monique. Massive love.
Yeah.
But she said that for the most part, the things that you see online that are trans-based or are usually like that, where it's triggering kind of content, aren't people who are really for the rights of trans people. Anyway, they're usually...
I must have said it ass way.
How
come you can be the nicer looking to him and be soft, and you're looking at me like I'm at the robbing your last change,
I've got the gentle eyes, G. Don't talk to me. But seriously, like that, where it's... you know, like a lot of the stuff that kind of kicks people off about trans or the problem with trans is stuff that they see online that, trans women who don't have lower half surgery in female bathrooms doing mad shit. Like, that person isn't really for the rights or the forwardness of what trans are looking for. And I think when guys like us, not exactly us, but people who are straight or people who are uneducated in that type of field can look at that and go, oh, I don't want anything to do with that, you know? But it's not taken up in the right sense because it's, again, social media giving you something that's out of context and is probably not even from the right person, you know, that kind of way? Yeah. So I think that's where the big problem is, where there's a skewed view of what trans is really about and then what we are given online.
Online, there you go.
Yeah.
I think I said that.
Did I nail that?
Yeah, you nailed it, bro. I like that. Yeah,
I know you.
You came across real specific.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce that word.
I just think after the suffrage I've experienced, right? I've gone from being basically a cis het white man, right? Now, I grew up in Finglas, you know, so there's obviously class divide there, but other than that, you know, life was somewhat rosy, right? Now, I've asked people who would be into their activism, feminism, and rights to name a bigger female activist than Dean Venture, who I used to be, that came from this country. And at least, if not from our generation, and there isn't another male that has done more for the rights of women in that regard. So you're talking to the cis het white man who was more outspoken about women's rights and heard all the stories and everybody ever. And a voice for that and changed the landscape, especially in the arts and a bunch of other things, was doing feminist activism before it was it was still a hot topic. People were telling him he was crazy, asking to do this and that and the other, but they were supportive, but they were just lads who was like, you're mental, but we got your back because we love you. And then, so to have all of that experience, all of that knowledge, I lived and tried to vicariously walk in those heels of through the stories, then to become trans. I still remember hearing it off one of my friends, and he was one of the only people that turned around and was just like, yeah, I've got a fucking hard time ahead yet. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. I got this, I understand. And I swear to fuck, nothing, absolutely nothing in this world or that world that he lived could have prepared me for what it's like to actually walk in without the privileges of being a cis het white male, as being a woman and or a trans woman. The abuse and everything I've suffered and been subjected to, it doesn't end, and you think you might be okay with it and this, and holy fuck, nothing can prepare you for that, for saving those privileges. Actually, it's a whole different veil of life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You can't walk in his shoes and really understand what being a black person in society is, but you can lend an ear and you can be there for him. But until you literally wear his skin, you will not know. And it's the same thing that's happened to me. Until I literally put on these heels and started walking around, what I've been subjected to and abused is like, honestly, it will fucking make you cry. And this is the thing when you turn around, and I know you came in a little bit brashly, and we're talking about a bit more the online thing. And yes, sometimes I can throw online stuff in there and the other. But at the end of the day, I do see if somebody's activist and fighting for something, fair play to them. Especially, how dare you give out to somebody if you're doing nothing? First of all, fuck you. But when you're subjected to all of the hate, like, let's put it this way: when I was only out publicly for not even half a year, I'd say, and I ended up in the States in homeless hostels in Newark and Boston, and basically I was the only white chick in fucking Newark, it was all black and Hispano and Latinos and stuff. And then in Boston as well. And all the hostels I stayed in were all basically black people. And sitting down there with homeless black women in America, telling them only about the previous, not even the last 3.5 years of my life, the past 6 months and what I was subjected to. They all started turning around to me and telling me, you have a harder than us. And these are homeless black women in America. And I've told them my stories of what got me there in that position, sitting in front of them. And they're telling me that my life is fucked up. Like, that's just a little inkling without actually getting into it. Yeah. So when you're experiencing that, sorry, I just want to say, so when, I mean, I was hate crimed on the way to Lewis yesterday. I've had fucking issues with transphobes in the homeless hostel I'm still in, to the point where, like, it's almost getting violent. So if you're turning around and saying that, like, people are getting a bit too sensitive, and fair enough, maybe it comes out a bit quick, but when you're literally fighting for your life sometimes, I had 3 security men pull a fucking George Floyd on me for playing a public piano in our Connolly train station. They reefed me off the piano, pulled me out, and when I wasn't letting them break my arm, all of a sudden I had a knee in the back of my neck, I've got 2 in my back, and I'm being reprimanded. I couldn't fucking breathe. I had to wiggle out, and I got my neck out, and I was screaming for my life in Connolly Station for playing a public piano, because 3 lads did not like the fucking cut of me, and when they pulled me out of there, and when I released myself from one, all of a sudden I was down there, and it was like, that was hate fueled. They wouldn't have done that to a cis woman. They wouldn't have done it to anybody else. The fact that I'm a trans woman and I was standing my ground for their bullshit, I had those knees in the back of my neck and back. And it's like, this is what I'm going through. So if you're saying that,
I understand
it's a very
that.
touchy subject.
No, I understand that, and I respect you sharing with that.
It's why when I was giving you a dead look, I was just like, hey, give me a minute to speak here. But like, literally walking my heels for a week, and you'll start understanding.
Yeah, no, I respect that, and I get where you're coming from with that, and I truly respect that for sharing that with us. But like, again, that comes back to like back then when racism was a thing, and like
heavier.
It was heavy, right? So you'd be on the bus. You could be on the bus. You could be a black kid, and a lot of black kids will relate to this. And if I'm talking out of proportion, I can tell you my own experience. But a lot of black kids will relate to this. If you're on the bus and your ma is on the bus with you, and your ma's getting slagged by gang of young fellas and things thrown at her, and like some people hit her, like just because she's black, right? Mm-hmm. And then the bus driver stops in the bus lane and kicks the black that's getting attacked off the bus instead of kicking the attackers off the bus. Mm-hmm. Now, as a kid, this is the reason why a lot of people get misconflated. Like, a lot of kids grow up because their ma's been abused or their dad's been abused so much because when they came over, it was such a taboo thing that they grow up with hate. It's not necessarily racist toward people. It's hate and anger. Mm-hmm. It's anger because what they seen their parents go through. Do you know what I mean? How the society treated them as they're growing up. So when you go to a certain people's house, some people don't like to have black white kids into their house. They cannot get past that barrier. But it doesn't mean it's racist. It's anger. Yeah. It's anger of the hatred that they experience.
It's fucking nearly trauma at that point.
Yeah, it's trauma.
Exactly. So I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I understand where you're coming from.
It's a reminder. It's a visual reminder.
Thank you. But that brings us back to in this world, there's over nearly 8 billion people on Earth. Mm-hmm. Not every one of us are fucking assholes.
No, Jesus, no. I think people are more good than they are bad.
Do you get me? Yeah. And there's where we need to start taking the lead from, is what I'm trying to say, because that's my experience I'm sharing with you. So people are quick to say, oh, that black fella is racist, but they don't understand why he's angry. He might not be racist, has nothing against white color, but it's the anger of the way he's been treated since the day he stood soil on the
skin.
So, exactly. So I get it when you say that.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand it when you say that. But one thing I learned a long time ago is not everybody's an asshole.
Oh, God, no.
Not everybody. There is majority of fucking dickheads out there. There is majority of fucking small-minded people out there. But not everybody. Not everybody's an asshole. And that brings me back to either you're cis or you're a woman or whatever you decide to identify it as. There's people out there that respects that. And then there's small-minded assholes that don't. Yeah. When I've talked about this, about the gay when we voted for the gay. It was the most beautiful thing that ever happened. Yeah. It was the most beautiful thing that ever happened to this country.
I actually was living in Cork at the time. I spun up for that shit.
Yeah, it was the most beautiful thing. I've been going to gay prides like since day one.
Yeah.
The last it was stopped for the lockdown, and then it was back again. Remember the big one? That was the only one I missed. I've been going to gay prides before years. Me and my boys.
2007
Yeah.
or 8 was my first
And
one.
it was great. I loved it. It was probably one of the best times.
So much fun.
I
go to the party.
Like it's. I always say it's bitter _ sweet.
Yeah, I loved it. We go to Panty Bar.
Yeah.
We used to go to Panty Bar, me and the lads. We go into Panty Bar, have the best crack.
What are you not telling us?
What I'm not telling you is, right? When you're black and you're in town on gay prides, you get drinks from both sides. That's just the truth, man. It's free night. You know what I mean?
Coming home fucking pissed as a fart, yeah.
Oh, I'm getting drinks sent from this side or side. I give the old piece. I give the old, you know, it's free drinks. But that's what I'm trying to say to you. I've never had anything against gays. I've never had anything against trans. Like, never, ever in my life. I've never looked at a man that dressed up in a woman outfit and felt weird. Never in my life. Never. Never did.
I'll hold my hand up. When we were kids, as open as I am, we still were taught. I would have said at one point, that's gross to two men kissing, even though I don't know why. Because we were conditioned and it felt weird. Yeah. And I think my generation, not to fucking call you out to be a liar, but I do think it was like we were that cusp of. It's like that's what we were told. Like I still remember kind of going, oh, that's a bit gross, and it was like I was like, why do I think that's gross? My brain never computed with it.
That's
like,
telly,
but
the media, because it was okay to watch a girl kiss a girl.
Exactly,
because that's how they showed it off on tellies for years.
And that's why David Bowie was always painted as a game. Why the thing? It's the media has controlled. We are a byproduct of the media, and the government and the powers that be have realised that way back, I'd say around the coming into the 80s, especially like post 70s, when TV was more starting to boom, it was in the home. They realised how much conditioning people can be off that. And I think a modern day example is how bad the TV show was, but how loved it is Friends. You look at that now and you're like, what the hell were we thinking? All the cast were like, we'd never sit down and act that out again. But that was normal at the time. And even in the room, whether it was male writers or female writers, they were writing this shite that wasn't necessarily shite back then. It was acceptable. And this is the conditioning we've had ever since. You know what I mean? We are conditioned in such horrible ways. And like that, it's like the media has probably more power than anybody in the entire world, you know? And like, I have a very unpopular opinion with the trans community, which is one thing. I think Dave Chappelle is an absolute ally to the trans community.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's an absolute ally.
Why? Because they're sick joke. I thought that was brilliant.
It was amazing.
That's
I
what
think.
That's what she's saying, though.
Oh, an ally, as in you like him, like,
yeah,
shit, we're on the same team.
Yeah, no, look, Dave Chappelle is fucking.
He's shit hot, man.
No, I
he's one of my favorite comedians, like.
And like, there's it. He said it exactly. He goes, the only people I hate in this world is white people. If you want me to stop saying things about trans people, I will. Now, he did that out of respect for trans people after talking about a combined history of LGBT history and black oppression and the rise and where they've come and fall and triumphed and everything and what's getting left behind. And he praised and said so many great things about like gay men, women, all the way through. And at the end, he goes, the only people I have a problem with is white people. And he knows that the media are definitely a small minority. 3 or 4 men, I think it is, own 70% of the UK media. They're rich, powerful white men. So when he makes a 10-minute joke, and at the end of the joke, he uses the line, well, I guess I'm a TERF too, which literally makes, when you watch it, it's not, when you take it out of context, and you just go, Dave Chappelle says he's a TERF, and you own 70% of the media, and literally the only people to talk to Daphne Dorman's parents was like a college paper where they grew up. Literally the world's just going to do that, and then clickbait, bam, 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 and anybody that's an ally then as well, which is sometimes like over whiteness, overacting like feminism. It doesn't help because it's just like, well, they said this and we're just going to share it and copy it, and because the media said Dave Chappelle's a TERF and I support trans people, therefore I hate Dave Chappelle now. When he stood on stage and did Daphne Dorman and our community such an honor, do you know what I mean? So that's how much control they have, and to the power of the point where whether you're an ally or you are a part of the community, that you're just going to read this and get so quickly offended and triggered by it, in a sense. And I also think we're almost overusing the word triggered these days. Triggered is actually when you act on something that happens to you. It's like a pre-settling. People use the word triggered when they're getting hot and bothered. Triggered is when you go and react to something and you have no control. And people just presume that this was the case. And I'm like, did any of us even watch it? No. No, it's like, so how do you know? Well, you just copied what the media said. That's how powerful the media is, and that's how dangerous it is. And they're pitting us against each other. Because guess what? That man has, I would name a bigger comedian on Netflix.
Oh, there isn't one.
Exactly. He stood on stage outside of all of that and given Daphne Dorman a eulogy. He stood on stage and for 10 minutes was talking about how the anti-trans bills in America are fucked up and that we should support trans people.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
And people forgetting that he's a comedian. He has to throw a joke into it. You know what I mean?
The turf is trans exclusionary radical feminist, basically anti-trans people. How does a man stand on stage, the biggest audience ever, going, these anti-trans bills are fucked, we need to fight against them? How are you anti-trans if you're saying that? Baffles me. But the media said it, so everybody believes it.
Now we need to be educated in the pronouns area, because like the pronouns, every LGBT, oh my god,
Almost 4 letters.
do you know what's wrong with me?
letters.
It's me dyslexic. It's not bad, man.
It's just a fucking mess.
It's
That one.
not bad. Like,
That's a rough.
everything just goes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking?
LGBT
LGBT
plus
premium.
premium.
Yeah. So,
Because we that good.
you know, but like, yeah, the pronouns are just very hard for me. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend. They're just it's very hard. It's very hard to remember. It's very like on your day.
No,
right?
well, I'm she, they, it, like whatever.
But when you're not be offended, like I'm it around the corner there, want to talk to you.
Yeah, it sounds like
It sounds.
I'll say it in this moment where this, like, okay, in good company, when everything's all lovely and lush, we all joke about each other. And guess what? That's the hardship of it all. If I was having a hard time in my identity and I knew I was slagging you for what we were joking about fucking Rob me earlier on, standard fucking black oppression jokes or whatever. I could make that back at you, and then you could make a joke about my identity. We're having a laugh. We're in the same room. It's all fun and games at that point. Yeah. But at the beginning, I will throw that out there just to kind of be a bit more fun about it, ease the thing off, and usually then I'm in my own or good company where it's just like you get a giggle if you're in the know. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm in it too, because it's like, you know, that's how society sees me sometimes. They will see me as a creature. And that's the sad truth of it all. So I'll throw that one in there to have my own thing up. Now, on a slightly sided thing, and we'll break down educational pronouns in a second, I do kind of remove myself from them. I say to people, in the waking world, I'm a trans woman. I'm an out and proud trans woman. If we're using pronouns in the room, I say she, her. That's how I'd like to identify. That's what you roll your tongue off when we're going through it. But at the same time, now I don't have them with me today because I lost them, and I'm actually getting the surgery to get my ears.
This was a question.
Thing.
Oh, you wanted to.
Okay, Daddy. Okay, yeah. So, I just see myself as a fairy. I'm just a little spark of light. I'm a different creature. I don't really feel human. I don't want to play your game. Don't want to play your pronouns game. As such, I'm a little. This is me.
So fairies have no pronouns?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay.
But they can.
Okay, so if I will drop the neo pronouns thing now in a minute, because otherwise you're going to be way too confused. So it's kind of more. It's just an identity. So to me, it kind of ties in with more being non-binary, which is no end of the spectrum, they, them, right? And I'll give you the rules and the regulations now in a minute. So I would be like, I'm a fairy, and then if someone's slagging me, it's like, or whatever. You get shit in the street, it's like, oh, like, you're a faggot. I'm actually a faggot fairy. Like, you forgot the rest of it, or whatever.
You're a fairy,
you know? Exactly. So I'm just re-owning it. And, you know, like I said, I've Irish blood. Like, fairies used to exist here. Like, I'm convinced the English fucking clipped off our ears years ago. I'm convinced a former human might have even had tail, and the same fucking white man came along and fucking clipped the tails off.
We get the
people.
worst rap, G. Fucking hell, it's pressure in here.
You motherfuckers are everything nowadays, man.
I'm such a piece of shit.
So,
Yeah.
like I say, in the working world, to kind of make it easy and just standard, I do say I'm trans woman, she, her, right? And then I'm also doing that as well to keep the dream alive, keep people out there in the limelight, the public eye, on the street, whether you see me, like, whatever. It's like I'm not going to hide who I am, and I'm proud of that, you know. So that would just be the general consensus. As I say, if someone says these are my pronouns, you go with it. Now, I was born a man, we've established this. So sometimes what happens is if I'm in company, my voice can really give me away. Like if I'm especially dolled up and I'm across the street in the room or whatever, some people don't know, you know what I mean? Now, sometimes if I have a certain haircut or different things, I call them manholes. That's what gives me away sometimes, you know what I mean? But I'm not trying to necessarily play stealth mode. I just want to be respected for who I am. Now, people use those manholes against me, you know what I mean? Like, I was literally on the phone on the way down. Some lad, as he turned, he was looking at me and then heard my voice and started saying loads of shit to me while I was on the phone. Gave him back better than he could give me, all grand, whatever. It's like, I was not allowed on a fucking airplane. Like, some lad saying shit to me on the street is nothing, you know what I mean? So, So that's kind of just anybody that identifies that way, you just respect it, you go with it. I say to people, so say, now, if you knew Dean, and then you're sitting here with me, and you knew Dean, like, his whole life, most of his life, or whatever, and especially if you're kind of hanging out with me as Saturn for the first time, you're going to throw Deans in there. You're going to throw he-hims in there, right? Just because you knew that person, and you're adjusting for me being a different person.
It's nearly a reflex. It's not actually
Exactly.
intentional.
It's ingrained in you, right? So it's and it's totally not intentional. So I see it this way: you're on my side, you're on my team, or you're not. If you're on my team, different people learn at different paces. I have no malice towards anybody once they're trying. You're trying, you're being genuine. I fuck it up still. I fuck it up. It took me a while to even like get it straight inside my own head where I was doing it right. And then every so often I'll be like, I love it when I call myself a man or he in my head, or say this, or I'll say my dead name. I'll be like, I just take the piss out myself, or if I'm around. It's like, I just find it funny now. You know what I mean? It's like, because I'm not at myself. And so that's one demographic of people where they'd be playing a bit of catch up. Now you have other people where my voice is where it is at the moment. It's still in an air quote like male pitch to a degree, especially like I'm training it, and if I want to hold it up here, it takes so much effort. And I think if I was talking like this all the time, it takes a lot, and it will get there. People might be more inclined to not he, him, me, just naturally or subconsciously, because guess what? These are in your 30s, right? Your whole lives, when you hear you hear this voice or a lower register, your subconscious goes he, him. You cannot undo that. That's cognitive wiring in your brain, and that's how it builds up. But now now the world's changing, and guess what? Somebody's voice does not determine their identity. Doesn't mean that they're he, him, she, her, or they, them. It's just their voice, and this is how we're rolling. So it's all about what somebody says.
So let me just break it all down real quick. We're gonna have to move through this quick because we're gonna have 10 minutes in to go through the rest. So, cis man.
Yes, you, him,
They.
presumably, yeah.
They? Oh my second. Sorry. I couldn't help myself. Go
Who's
on.
it? But like, see if you called me a cis man,
Yeah.
am I to accept that, or can I just say I'm a man?
Well, so it's terminology. It's just terminology. We're writing a book. We're throwing it out there.
Okay.
Like basically, being cis man is just the additional terminology to say if we were to say they're a trans man. If it's like if you're bringing.
Because I know a lot of women are fighting over the cis woman.
Yeah, we know some
You know
people
that.
aren't
Okay.
hot on that
So
shit,
cis man, cis woman is just woman, man.
You are.
That has balls.
You are identified.
China.
Killed you.
That was the hardest one.
I mean, I can't say snack box. What the fuck is going on?
Right, that's cis man, right? Okay, then we have trans, woman. We have gays. No, gay would be man to man. Am I right? Gay? Yeah?
Yeah.
We have boy, the greedy part.
Yeah.
one.
Greedy house. Greedy house.
Okay, we're going to
And then we have... Jesus Christ, I don't even know what we have, man. Can you just call them out, please? Can we just go through them one by one?
Recap. Yeah. So if you're cis, you're essentially presenting and acting as the sex you were born. So sex, gender, totally different.
Yeah.
Like I'm still male sex. I have a dick and balls. I don't plan on getting rid of it. For anybody watching, it's 8 inches. Let me know.
Go on.
Hey!
Let them know.
Yo.
So switch with girls, lads. No, you can fuck me. It's a different story.
This has
I'm
become
scared. Yeah, go
I'm
on.
in my slut era. It's fine.
You do you. You do you.
I fucking am, and everybody that wants a bit.
Hey, fuck. Okay.
So right, cis is you are what you were assigned, that the sex that matches your gender at birth.
Okay.
Okay. So if you are non-binary, you're they them. So neither of those.
They, them.
things. Yeah.
Okay,
they, them.
non-binary, okay.
If you can be trans, if you're a trans man, you can just identify as man. Or a trans man, or you would say, that's basically it. Same as woman on the opposite side. Now.
Oh, trans woman, trans man. Okay.
Yeah, basically. And some people obviously don't want to necessarily be trans. They just want to fit in. Like, you know what I mean? They just want to be the man. They just want to be this. And they kind of don't. They're not necessarily ashamed of their transness, but they just want to try be as normal in society as possible. Because the thing is, it's like, look, I know for a fact, loads of lads do be sniffing in around me, but the fact that I haven't gotten the bottom surgery and I still have a dick or things like this, it stops them, it prevents them, you know what I mean? And there's certain criterias there that do have that rejection. So some people being in stealth mode, like there's trans men and women, you have no idea, literally no idea. They've had all the work done, they've had everything, and they are walking the streets as a man or as a woman, and they'll probably only tell people who are trans that they're trans. I guarantee you probably met somebody along the way that's trans, you didn't even know it was trans. So that's how it goes. But we're in this middle ground now where we're just trying to allow everybody to exist in that sense. So if we're going through the spectrum, so L for lesbian, that's me, that's women loving women. That's the terminology.
Yeah, L. Yeah.
Gay is men loving men.
Okay.
You know? So bisexual is basically
B.
more than one.
The
you like
greedy
more
part.
than one gender. And
The
then
greedy part.
trans is if you are a trans person.
Transitioning. A trans.
Well, you have transitioned, you're transitioning.
Transgender, oh.
Some people are in transition. So some people might say, I'm transitioning. And when they get there, they don't want to announce it because they just want to fit in.
And that's it, is it?
I mean, okay, so then you'll have,
1, 2, 3,
they're the main
4.
four. They're the main four, and that's like your gender, that's your kind of sexualities and your identities that we're kind of working with in here.
I think that's very easy remembered.
Relatively so. So then, you know, we have non-binary people as well. So just for anybody as well, oh, they, them, that's plural, blah, blah, blah. It's stupid, right? I really hate when people say this, because if I was to say, oh, this person's dropped their purse on the ground, I want to get it back to them, I wonder where they are. Or, you know, you understand that, right?
In that sentence, though, but and I'm in agreement with you. But there is times where it
That was very good explanation.
It doesn't even feel. It doesn't come out grammatically correct, though.
No, because I think you're assigning different grammar to them. Because if I was just to say, our sound engineer over there, look at them. Yeah. Same thing. Oh, see them over there?
Yeah. I think there's
Who
3
is
or
they?
4 of them.
That's what I mean, though.
That's the problem, though.
But
wait.
If you say
so
look at them over there.
Yeah, you go.
Because of...
If you say look at them over there, I think there's more than...
Is your brain
1.
really doing that extra math at the moment? Like,
But it does, though, because that's what I was taught.
Yeah.
But,
Them is 2 or more. Him is 1. She
Singular,
is 1.
but if I was to say they switched off the mic by accident.
They is a group.
Do you know what I mean?
They is a group.
Yeah, well, I get but again, and that's my
it's-
thing is.
You get me? That's what I would have known.
It's not a group. But
Yeah.
it's still it's technically.
But the way
both.
you explained that second ago was, I understood that, but I don't understand they over there.
But if I was to
See the
say-
way you said when the wallet
they
dropped, you
switched
want to
the
get
mic
them
off.
back. You want to get back to them. I understood that for some reason. I don't know why it is.
Yeah,
that
was
makes sense.
That was a more.
You're overcompensating. This is
Okay.
the thing, and I think this is what the silly narrative that's been pushed out is like that people are forcing that they and them always means plural. That
Yeah,
it's
but
when it
there you
doesn't,
go.
you know what I
See
mean?
that before we end it here, let's talk a little bit about on the far side. But why does that have to change?
Sorry, which could you repeat that?
Why does they, he, we, he, she have to change? Why does that have to change? Why couldn't it just be she?
So it's just somebody doesn't want to
Like if
subscribe to it.
a trans man is a man, why couldn't it just be him?
So if I was to say to you, give me a little synopsis of what a man is.
Man with a fucking dick and balls hanging low to the ground. Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, men.
Why I left?
That was fucking gas. Dick and balls. Like as fucking male as you could make it.
You know what I mean?
And if I was to say, let's just take your stupid reference there and say, what's a woman?
A woman is a woman with a reproductive ovaries that can be able to produce and give good sex.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the sad truth is right now,
Snack box.
you would have taken me out of the spectrum because you've just said a woman is somebody with vagina and ovaries. I don't have that. But you don't not see me as a woman. So let me just, like, I'm not having a go, but I am having a go, right?
Yeah.
You see me as a woman, you respect me as a woman, but your definition is as, like, I think both your definitions was the most male thing ever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like,
a lot of testosterone.
It was about as masculine as you could get it anyway, for sure. You know what I mean?
But yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. But like,
so sorry, just to jump it back into the non-binary thing. So first of all, that was I was expecting a little bit more of a, which is still wrong, but this is because we're busting the binary open. Like the whole point is this is a binary in the spectrum. For the last while, the media and the world has conditioned us to be man or woman only. And you wear man's clothes if you're a man, you wear woman's clothes if you're a woman. You wear you're not allowed to wear panties if you're a man, and you're not allowed to wear boxers if you're a woman. Stupid things make absolutely no sense. Clothes are clothes, things are things, identity is identity. So when somebody just says, I'm they, them, basically, they don't feel like either. Like, you know, where I would say I'm a trans woman, it's because guess what? I was forced to be a man. It felt wrong. I wanted to be on that side of the fence. And I fucking love, for me, I love everything on the, you know, the air quote female side of the fence. And that makes me happy. Those things make me happy. But pink isn't a female thing, but we would have designed it that way.
I love pink.
Yeah, you wear pink all the time.
We talked about, I know it's the Maron, they're gorgeous shoes, you know what I mean? But, you know, you wore those back in the fucking, you know, 15 years ago, before like MTV had reality TV shows, you were getting rocks thrown at you. You know what I mean? You're being called a faggot. So somebody that's non-binary basically is saying, I'm not, they might stand there, look what you would perceive as a cis woman or a man. Like, if you were to stand here and say, I'm non-binary, basically it's saying, just don't call me a man, but I'm also not a woman.
Yeah, okay.
That's all it is. I don't subscribe to it, you know, and I don't want to be expected to do the gender roles and the gender norms that we've been forcefully assigned for our entire lives.
Can I ask you something on that?
We're not.
So anyway, guys, it's been great. No, so the non-binary thing, right?
This is a podcast.
Some type of conversation.
we're gonna have to close this week.
Yeah, so this is one thing, and this is more. I just want to ask this and see your reaction more than anything. And not that I'm trying to actually pull anything out of you like that, but
appreciate
the non-binary thing, right? So you don't want to be involved in a particular category, but are you not putting yourself in a category then? Do you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? You're. I appreciate what you're saying, and I think you're trying to. Yes and no, but the category is. It's not to say that I am. The category is, it's very an interesting way to put, I've actually questioned it there. I'll hand you that one.
Up the calf, love it.
It's like, it is interesting, but the category, it's like, it's basically saying, I'm not subscribing, and you're forcing me, the world has forced me to subscribe. And yes, I'm stepping back, but at the same time, we have to quantify everything, because if we didn't say, I'm standing back from this group, but then you'll still force that person into one thing or the other. Well, if you're not a woman, then you're a man. But then it's like, well, I'm not a man, but then you're a woman. It's like, I'm not a woman. So it's like, basically, non-binary is going, I'm taking a step back, and you can play that game over there. So
it's more the male to female than the category in general. So it's not. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's like, in a roundabout way, it has grouped people. And the best thing about any of these things, now look, I will admit, and the same thing with Laura, wasn't it?
Lauren. Yeah.
Lauren, is I honestly think it needs to almost all go in the bin. Absolutely every scrap of it. Because all it does is, like you said, it's putting in a category. You are then still dividing, right?
Yeah.
But we live in a world at the moment where that is not possible. And in such an oppressive world, in so many disregards, the relief that somebody can have when you give them a group or a category that goes, the terminology, the typology of it is a description that suits them more than any other thing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden that weight is relieved.
It's like comfort nearly.
And then they can go and talk to people who feel the same. And that is the most important thing for anybody that identifies.
That's respect, man. That's respect.
That was a bar right there, my guy.
Brilliant. Come to say that, we're going to have to close that here.
Yes.
I truly appreciate you coming in. Yeah.
Hey, I like it. I like it. We appreciate you coming in and taking the
you had
time.
fun. A ball of fun.
That was great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry
Fair
for
play
being
to
late. A couple of Catholics and guards helping me up.
It's all right. You don't hold it against you at all. You're fine.
I'm trying to he's gonna cancel us, man. We love you, man. Catholic, we support.
Fuck 'em.
But yeah, no, thanks for the last minute as well. Thanks for the last minute. I truly appreciate you, man, honestly. And guys, if anyone's offended in any way, please send the email to who gives a fuck.
Or me, and I'll sort you right out.
Yeah, Saturn's got you, yeah.
On that last, very, very last note, because I appreciate this one, and one last tiny smidge of education, because I know we throw it out with no terms, like it's a term of endearment, and you'll say it figuratively, but there was like one little address where you're like, oh, like man, right?
I was thinking we got
totally
out clean
fine.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost.
Stopped there right at the end.
Because I was waiting for this to bring this one up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So basically, I say to somebody, it's very hard to change the beaten word that you have. And look, dude is a social construct. It doesn't mean man or woman. Fuck you, Aerosmith and Aston Kutcher. You've kind of ruined it for the rest of us.
Yeah.
But dude is just it's a social construct.
Hey, dude.
Hey, dude.
It's
Yeah, I like
you're
that
either
shit.
cool and with it, or you're like collar and fuck you, like right.
Yeah.
But
It's the same as, hey, bitch.
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, dude, bro, man. Hey, bitch.
you know, all I ask people is if, all right, again, adding to the vocabulary, it's not that hard. If you have bro, man, all of these boy terms, guys, all this, you have up to 10? Just throw one feminine or non-male term in there, wired into the lexicon, throw it out, because guess what? You could make somebody so happy, especially if somebody's transitioning, and you can throw that in there, or the bumper at the start. Just if you're in a room with somebody, that, especially if they're in a transition, and you say man or bro, just go, hey, by the way, just at the start, I say this, and I'm adding something else into my vocabulary, but I don't mean it. And if you just say that, that person knows you thought about them.
Yeah.
And because you know what, like I said, all the hurt that happens, and if you threw a couple of mans or bros at me and I was having a hard time, or if I was mid-transition and this, if you just say, by the way, I say it, I don't mean it, that's like, it's just, you actually meant, I thought about you and your thing, and it actually goes so far, because guess what? No, I'm not asking anybody to stop saying man or bro overnight. It's not going to happen. But if you can say that in the room when somebody's not a bro or a man, you could really help somebody.
We fucking
so
need
much.
that more than anyone.
No, I truly respect that. Honestly, I do. All jokes to the side, I really, really do respect that. And anyone that's gone through transition, or anyone that's trying to come out or trying to beat themselves, the best thing you can do is just stick to your loved one, keep your circle small, and just work on yourself. You know what I mean? And just look, there's always helps out there. And guys, I know we joked and we said a few things. Like I said, this is an opinion. It's all opinions. We're all just talking freely and just trying to get a little bit of clarity on everything that we're touching on. And I'm truly respectful and honored to have you in.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. Especially the way we met with social media. That's nuts, but still. Thank you, guys. We catch you on the next one.
Thank you for having me.
Yo.
Guys, if you're fucking with us and you like exactly what we were doing, everything we talked about, make sure to do what?
Follow, like, share, subscribe, YouTube or Spotify. No matter what you're listening or watching us on, be sure to hit all them buttons and run up them numbers, my guys. Know what I'm saying?
You better.